Hello everybody, we are here with your HEL middle guide. So we're going to be starting off going into our starter items. I'm going to be getting a conduit gem. A lot of people would think Sands of Time on HEL, but I actually really want a gem of focus on HEL for the late game. It's going to help us kind of get around and stay alive. So we're going to start with the conduit gem and going into our spear of desolation as we normally would, grabbing a health pot, 2 mana pots, and our beads. So on HEL we used to start with the 1, but the 1 early game damage got nerfed quite significantly. So on HEL now we are actually going to be starting with the 3. You're going to get off good damage and good sustain on the wave. Beforehand, you used to be able to get the 1 and go really aggressive on the enemy mid laner, but this season it's a little bit different. You're going to start with your 3. You're still going to level your 1 to max first, but you are going to start off with a point in the 3 instead this season, ever since they have nerfed a little bit of the early game pressure that 1 used to provide for you for HEL. So our goal is we're going to go walk up to this wave, we're going to use our 3, and then we're going to switch stances and we're going to heal our wave to try to give us a little bit of lane pressure. We've also got an early gank coming into mid here with the Nezha, which is quite nice, and we're going to get a lot of damage out. You see that HEL's 1 still does a lot of damage. It's just not as much as it used to, but because of the early gank from the Nezha, they did the correct starting location in the jungle. You get a nice early kill, which is going to help snowball the mid lane into a very good spot. So for our level order here on HEL, we are going to be maxing out that 1 first. Then we're going to be maxing out the 3. Finally maxing out the 2 and our 1. Excuse me. Finally maxing out our 2 and our ultimate. So with the HEL ultimate, I like to get 1 point into it in order to get the MP5. In particular, out of this ability, you're going to get that 15 MP5, which is really nice. But outside of the MP5, the rest of the stats are all right. And I personally would prefer to have the lower cooldown and the increased slow / protection debuff on my 2. It's basically just giving you pen on your abilities, which is super nice because we're not going to have like a ton of penetration in our build, which is why I end up going 1, 3, 2, 4 on that level order for HEL. But I do throw a point into the ultimate at level 5 to get that MP5 going. I'm going to sell this health pot and just get a couple of wards. Vision's really important on HEL because we are quite susceptible in the early stages of the game, particularly to the jungle ganks. So our goal on HEL is going to be to get a lot of CDR online. We don't 100% need cap CDR, but we want good CDR to pair with our gem of focus late game to make sure we're always able to spam abilities. To be fair, on HEL, you can kind of always spam abilities because you're going to have multiple stances, which is going to let you always have something up to kind of be throwing around to keep all those stacks going. So I'm going to grab that point in my ulti right now, which is going to give me just a really nice burst of MP5. As long as I have mana, I basically have hit points on HEL, which is why it's so important. Now, with leveling my 1 first, it does mean that my self-sustain is pretty reliant on healing off of my allies, which is fine. The jungler and the support are going to be spending a lot of time with you in the mid lane. So as long as I've got somebody near me, I can just YOLO that 1 right over at them, and I will be able to get myself some good sustain going. Not quite as effective just on the 3 by myself, though. So HEL right now is actually quite good. There's about to be some healing general nerfs coming through. In that they're going to be buffing anti-heal items back to the way that they were before. They're also going to slightly make the out of combat brawlers debuff just proc on you a little bit quicker after you leave combat.
The night is grim,
but overall, healers are still going to be in a good spot. Healing is basically always going to be good in Smite. But right now, in particular, HEL is quite strong. HEL, Chang'e, Guan Yu, Aphrodite, all of those characters are in a very good spot right now. A lot of them actually as well in the mid lane. Mid lane tends to get a lot of farm. You just have to be careful. Because there's so much farm around the mid lane, there also tends to be a whole lot of action. So you need to be careful about those early ganks. For our standard damage combo here in HEL, we're going to be starting off in our Dark Stance. If the target is out of your range of your 3, then you're going to use your 3 first. Excuse me, if they're in the range of your 3, you are going to use your 3 first. Otherwise, you're going to use your 2 to slow them down, and then 1. And then if they're in the range of your 3, you'll switch over to your 3. If you're not, you'll switch over to your light stance 1. So that's going to be 2-1-1 or 2-3-1 switch stances 1. Just depends on if you're close enough to actually hit them with your 3. A lot of times the enemy is actually not going to be within that 3 range. But when you slow them down with your 2 and you got the AoE on that dark stance, it's really, really consistent poke. So I'm actually against a Ra this game. So he himself has a little bit of sustain. Against characters that do not have sustain, HEL's 1 is very annoying. It's not that hard of an ability to hit because it has that little explosion radius at the end. Compared to the light stance 1, which you do have to actually hit directly. There's no little explosion. This comes with the fun little caveat of, for the most people, hitting your ally with your heal is a lot harder than hitting the enemy with it, just by the way that your allies move. A lot of people find that one of the harder abilities in the game to hit is actually HEL's light stance 1 on allies. So I'm getting ganked right here. I'm going to switch over to my light stance. I get a little bit of bonus protections when I am in my light stance because of my passive. You get a little bit of bonus damage when you are in your... You get a little bit of bonus damage when you're in your dark stance. You get a little bit of bonus protections when you're in your light stance. I threw down my cleanse on top of the Nezha because it looked like the Woojer was going to feather step him. I think she actually did. Unfortunately, he died anyway. So now we've got our 1 maxed out. So I'm going to start maxing out my 3. Then I'm going to max out my 2 and my 4. I can back up, get myself a Spear of Desolation and another ward, and making sure to use my heal as I leave the fountain, just for that extra burst of speed. It doesn't cost me any mana anyway. One of HEL's most important abilities to use properly is going to be her 2 and her light stance. This is a cleanse, so this is going to stop any CC from hitting your targets, affecting them, / also taking CC off of them. So if you're about to get Ares ulted, you can throw down that 2 and you get that CC immunity. For that 1.5 seconds, boom, you don't get Ares pulled. As a team, they can save their beads. You think you're about to get Ymir frozen? Boom, you use your 2, you preemptively got yourself already. Now you're not getting Ymir frozen.
I am at your side.
I think somebody on my team is gonna get a relics pulled. Boom, hit him with the 2. Now they don't get hit by it. Another thing that you should be aware of, it's just this little passive bar. You can see that this bar is either going to be in dark or light stance. That's basically just meaning you have the full passive effect. So the longer you stay in the stance, the more that bar is going to fill up. So if I switch over to my light stance, it doesn't change over immediately, but slowly over time, it'll start to transition over further into that stance that I'm in. So you get slightly more effectiveness out of a stance if you've been in it longer. So if you want more effect out of your dark stance, then chill around in your dark stance. You want more effect out of your light stance, then chill around in your light stance and make the switches kind of quick. So like right now, I can switch over, throw down a heal, go right back to my dark stance. It doesn't actually...
Never give in.
take too much time to get those abilities off and go back, so I can still get all of those benefits. Your HEL 3 will also heal the wave, which makes HEL a good tower pusher because she can help keep those minions alive. When your minions are alive, of course, you get those backdoor protections on the towers and the phoenixes, which makes them a lot easier to kill. I'm going to try to get back here towards my... Ooh! I was going to try to get back there towards my Nezha, but we actually get zoned out by the Emoja. That was a really good play there from the Emoja, but we should be able to dive pretty deep on this anyway. Gonna throw down a little heal here for my Nezha to see if we can't get him out of this one. Emoja is definitely gonna get pulled back into this because she has no escape. We'll be able to grab that kill and get ourselves right out of dodge. So for my third item in this game, I've got 20% CDR right now. I'm going to get myself a Rod of Tahuti. Rod of Tahuti is probably the most important healer item in the game, which a lot of people don't recognize.
An enemy has been slain.
Rod of Tahuti gives you a bunch of power, right? Cool beans, bunch of power. Everybody knows that. Extra power helps you, of course, heal more, right? Because you're going to get more scaling on your heal. Cool beans. Everybody's got that. But the most underrated part of Rod of Tahuti is actually the passive for healing. Basic attacks and abilities gain 25% additional magical power. Magical power, of course, meaning more scaling against targets that are below 50% health. That also applies to allies that are below 50% health on heals. So while you will do more damage to an enemy target that's below 50% health with your damaging abilities, you will also heal an ally that is below 50% health for more with your healing abilities. You will also get that scaling in that manner as well, meaning it's one of the easiest ways to increase the amount of healing that you are outputting. As you can see, HEL does not lack in the damage department either. She can get a lot of damage off in a very short amount of time.
Do not fret.
So for our third item, we're going to get that Rod of Tahuti. And then for our fourth item, it's going to be a little bit situational. I know I want a Chronos Pendant, and I know that I want a Rod of Asclepius, so it's really going to be just a matter of the order that we get these in. My two, then my one, then switch over, use another one. Not going to quite be able to land that light stance, but we've got a lot of pressure around the map. We should move ourselves over to the Gold Fury. We're developing a nice little lead out here. And so we should go get ourselves this Scorpion down so we can get the Gold Fury spawning so we can actually start to do objectives. A lot of people don't want to go do the Scorpion right now. They feel like it's a waste of time in the early stages of the game. But not doing the Scorpion is really going to slow down your potential lead, because a lot of the lead in Smite is going to come from that objective-based gameplay. So if you're just waiting for forever on the Elder Scorpion to be put down, then you're never ever going to be able to go around and just do the objectives when you actually get those team wipes. So we backed up. We're going to get ourselves an Aegis and another Sentry Ward. Aegis on HEL, of course, pretty standard actives here, just Aegis and beads. Almost always what you're getting in the mid lane. If they had a really big auto attack based comp, then instead of getting maybe the Aegis, I might get myself a Shell. Shell is just one of the best actives in the game right now. You should genuinely be considering it every role. But they've got a Ra. Ra has a big damage ultimate. I want to be able to avoid that damage with my Aegis. And they don't actually have that much in the way of auto attack trouble. So we don't need those additional block stacks on the Shell. But you should always consider Shell right now as an active, honestly, in all 5 roles because of how strong it is. Got a call for this Gold Fury right now so we can try to extend out our lead. We might need to gank this Cupid first, which is fine. I'm going to give myself a little speed buff, see if I can catch up here to the Cupid. He's pretty scared, but he actually might turn around. He did. I thought he might do a little turnaround, throw down a little cleanse on myself. So even if that is a stun, it doesn't even matter. And now we can walk ourselves right over to the Gold Fury. Because I rank up my 2 first, that's a 35% slow, man. 20 pen that I'm throwing out because of the protection debuff, plus a 35% slow, that's a really strong ability. So for our matchups on Hell that we do not like to go against, obviously right off the bat, we don't want to go against any of the major anti-healing gods. A lot of the gods that come to mind: Cerberus, Osiris, Odin, Surket. All of those gods are just going to be very annoying for you because they've got so much built-in anti-heal just right into their kit. They don't even need to build anti-heal right now in order to start countering you, particularly as you get later on in those team fights. Your healing is going to be crucial to your Hell gameplay. A little bit earlier in the game, the healing isn't as important, but later on in the game, it becomes a huge part of your kit. So you don't want to be going against those. Another thing you don't really want to be going against is walls. Walls also tend to do very well against Hell. You don't have a real escape skill. Now, what you make up for in not having an escape skill is the fact that you have a cleanse and a good amount of movement speed. So you're trying to keep yourself out of the reach of the enemy as your own form of peel.
Freedom!
But it becomes hard to stick away from enemies when they've got a big ol' Ymir wall up in the jungle and your only way to run is at the enemy. So you want to watch out for gods that can make walls. This makes Odin a double whammy. But also, you know, Ymir and Thor and all of those types of characters. The addition of walls means the deaths of Hells. So watch out for walls and anti-heals. What we like going against is everybody else. Hell is a team fight based character. She has pretty good early game lane clear, so she can compete with all of the meta gods right now in terms of lane clear. A lot of her heal on the wave tends to give her the lane push that she needs to keep up. And her damage output is a little bit nutty. You can see with those double ones, that's easily 900 damage that I'm getting out every couple of seconds. And then because we got all this healing, I'll be able to heal my team up and we can continue in pushing. When you have a healer on your team, sieging should always be on your mind. Sieging is a priority because if you're low, a lot of the times you can't siege phoenixes, but with a healer on your team, you've always got creeps alive because I'm healing the creeps so they can take extra phoenix shots, and I can keep my team all sustained up. So that makes assaulting phoenixes and towers way, way, way easier. We're almost always going to have those backdoor protections. We're going to be able to keep people healthy enough to push, and so we get to go very aggressive. That is your main priority with a healer, is you are just trying to get a large lead through objective-based gameplay. Because of the fact that you keep those creeps alive, you can go get extra towers. Because if you normally, this is why healers are so strong in Smite. Normally, right, you have a close team fight. Let's say you win the fight by 1 kill, right? You win by 1 kill, man, but everybody's pretty low, everybody's pretty scared. When you have a healer, if you win at all and the healer is still alive, it just doesn't matter because now everybody is at full HP. So whereas in a normal situation, everybody would have had to back up, reset, and now they don't have enough time to go do the Gold Fury, to do the tier 2 tower before the enemy respawns. Well, now you've got plenty of time because nobody actually had to back at all because you just grouped up around the healer, and so that got you that objective. Now you do that over and over and over and over again, and all of a sudden it's 1,000 gold here, 1,000 gold here, 1,000 gold there, and now you're huge. So I've grabbed the Chronos Pendant here for my 5th item. This is going to give me 40% cooldown, plus I love that little extra CDR proc on Hell because of all of her different abilities that she has. Chronos Pendant tends to work really well on gods that have multiple forms. I like it a lot on Tiamat as well as Hell.
Attack the Gold Fury.
And then finally, we'll be finishing up with a Rod of Asclepius. Rod of Asclepius is going to give us a little bit more movement speed. We, of course, like to embrace the movement speed because it is going to give us a little bit more in the way of living on Hell. So we get bonus movement speed from hour 3. We get bonus movement speed on our Rod of Asclepius. We're going to get bonus movement speed on our Gem of Focus. And that's going to be kind of our self-peel. That is trying to keep us and our team, of course, alive. So that's what we're trying to do on that one. Gonna throw down my cleanse on myself because I know that Yamoja ulti is about to hit. I need to be a little bit careful here. Gonna throw down another cleanse and a little Aegis right here as I kind of run away. This guy can probably kill me right here, and I don't have any teammates next to me for the heal to actually come out. And so they're going to be able to put me down. This actually does bring up another good point, though. You should try to be by your healers. We're so big, it's not really going to matter anyway. The team's going to be able to plow through it. But in general, you want to try to position yourself near your healers. Obviously, your healer is going to be able to keep you and the team alive, help out with the pushes, but your healer is also going to be the #1 priority. If you're not #1 prioritizing the healer, that's its own problem. They should basically always be the priority target. Which means that you want to be sitting by them for peels, but you also want to be sitting by them for heals. So it's kind of a win-win situation for standing near your healer, particularly a god like Hel or Aphrodite that's really reliant on other characters in order to heal. Aphrodite, of course, really wants to be using that kiss mechanic. Hel really needs people by her in order to use her 1, stuff like that. Hel's 3, you know, doesn't even apply the speed to herself. It only applies to allies, right? So just stuff like that. That's how it works, right? It doesn't apply to yourself. No, it doesn't increase. It's only yourself, not allies. They changed this a while ago. You know what? Let me read this ability. Hel gains increased movement speed and allies gain a reduce. Oh no, everybody gets movement speed. That's what it is. Allies only get 10% movement speed instead of 25%. They're going over towards this Gold Fury. We can send all of us over here and come contest this Gold Fury. So I'm going to kind of sit right here. They're getting close to doing it. I'm going to throw down my 2-1 and try to steal this. We are going to be able to steal it. But now I need to throw down the cleanse on myself to try to run away from all of this nonsense. I'm going to switch back over to my heal stance, try to heal myself up off of this Ares, and now I'm going to try to chase down this guy in the mid lane. And off of this, we actually might be able to win the game. A little body block from our creeps here in the mid lane, going to give us just a little bit of extra love, and we should be able to put this game away now by shoving down this mid lane. Ares is gonna tank this for us. I'm gonna try to get some heals over here onto my Neja. And now we can go and walk at this Titan. 2 Phoenixes down. Titan is gonna be a little bit of a pushover. Gonna throw down some heals, trying to keep my Ares alive for as long as possible. Oh, I actually just kind of got bopped right there. We gotta be a little bit careful. We should be able to end the game still. I think we have some people putting in a little bit more priority onto trying to farm the enemy team than killing the Titan necessarily. But we're still going to be able to do it regardless. So our last items right there, we were going to rank up that Conduit Gem into the Gem of Focus. That is because it's going to give us movement speed and % damage reduction, plus that extra damage as well. With your 12,000 abilities on Hel, you're never going to have a problem keeping all of those up. And then finishing up with the Rod of Asclepius for, once again, more movement speed, but also even stronger heals. Also helps to counter the enemy's anti-healing that they start to build. It's basically like, oh, you've got an anti-heal item. Well, I've got a bonus healing item, so they kind of cancel each other out. And it's like you have normal healing when you're around that anti-heal, guys. And that is our Hel middle guide.